Hello, my dear friends, seekers of peace, chaos, and everything in between. How are you? How is life treating you? It's been a while, but if you are regular here, you know these episodes show up when they are ready, when they are meant to be, just like everything else in life. Welcome back to the Raw Yogi podcast, where we keep things real and raw with a touch of sarcasm, because how else are we going to cope up with life? I am recording this episode from this beautiful island that is Bali, but expect some background noises as it's full of constructions here. Before we dive in, can we just take a moment to process that it's already November? I mean, this year felt like it lasted 4 months. Time is a wild concept, my friend. Sometimes it rushes by. I almost feel like I am missing on something, I feel this urge to take actions, have it all together, which is so stressful. And other times it crawls painfully and slowly, especially when I am desperately waiting for something to change. Honestly, both extremes have their fair share of pain. And then, in the middle of all this chaos, you hear people say, trust the divine timing. What is that supposed to mean? Is divine timing a different time zone? What even happens when you trust it? And how can you trust it when you are feeling impatient, stressed, anxious, fearful, or just lost? Well, my dear friends, if you decide to tune in today, maybe it's not a coincidence. I am sure there is something here for you, so settle in, get ready to take some notes, and remember, don't namaste everything I say. Take only what resonates with your heart and feel free to leave the rest behind. Before we jump in, a quick heads up here. You can catch up this episode on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and soon, when the time is right, on the Raw Yogi YouTube channel. Drop a comment or share your story. I love reading those. All right, let's dive in head first to this juicy topic. So, divine timing. That's when everything in life unfolds exactly when it's meant to. In divine timing, we are never late, never early. Whatever happens in life, we are always right on time. Your heart feels calm and your mind is so quiet. It sounds like something out of a dream, right? But let's get real here for a second. Telling someone to just trust the divine timing when they are in the middle of a meltdown, boy, it's like telling someone doing meditation for the very first time to just sit still and relax for the next hour. Well, it's not gonna go well, and chances are they will leave the room and never come back. And that's a true story, actually. The thing about trusting the timing of the divine, it often brings out our deepest trust issues. Yes, and let's break this down together. I want to first take a piece of paper and write down in a big letter and leave space between words, trust the divine timing. And notice how time comes last, because trusting divine timing isn't just this cute sentence you stick on your phone to look at it occasionally. No, it's a whole journey. It's a journey that begins with trust. And trust in whom? The divine. So let's put the time on the side and speak about the trust. And we can start with a very simple question. Do you trust God? Not just believing in Him, but do you trust Him? Like, do you trust that you will be okay with or without a steady job? Do you trust that your body will be healed and healthy with or without medication? Do you trust that you're safe, supported, and provided for, even if you don't have the security of the house, the fat bank account, and all these security blankets we work so hard to build? And some people will say, of course, because I trust God, I have all these blessings. The house, the bank account, you name it. And I get it. But let's flip this question for a moment. Do you still trust God when things don't go your way? when you ask for something and you get the opposite of it? Or do you trust God when He takes away the things you are the most attached to? Because that's usually when we all hit that wall, right? That's when the trust starts to feel limited. Believing in God is one thing. Trusting Him is a whole other level of faith, my fellow seekers. And I cannot speak for you, but I can definitely speak for myself. When I got serious with these questions, I realized I have some deep trust issues with God. I believed in Him for sure, but my trust had limits that can show up in the smallest details of my life. And once I started to acknowledge this, God also started to show me all these areas of my life where I wasn't putting my trust in Him at all. And let's be real, if we can't trust God fully, how can we trust His timing? How can we even expect to recognize or align with a bigger plan if we are still holding back? And we are holding back. Maybe I can share with you a quick story on how I started to see my own lack of trust. It's very humbling realization, and I hope you will find a bit of your own story in it too. Stay with me here. So, before I found my way into yoga, I was deep into the corporate life. And when I started that job, I remember my boss, with all his infinite wisdom, promised me a yearly bonus based on company profits. So naturally, I went all in. My God, the first year I gave my absolute best. I genuinely enjoyed the work. I daydreamed about how I'm going to spend that bonus. But by the end of the year, I got nothing. Just a list of financial issues from the company. And of course, I was so disappointed. My second year, unconsciously, the quality of my work went down to 70%. Still good, but I wasn't going above or beyond anymore. And once again, no bonus. The same thing, budget issues. My boss avoided the topic for months and pretending he was too busy to talk, which only fueled my frustration and anger. And by the third year, my dedication had dropped to 50%. And by the fourth year, we are talking solid 30%. And 30% motivation looked like that. I would show up on time for work, but I will spend 1 hour chit-chatting with my coworkers, scrolling through social media, having my breakfast, calling a friend, and maybe answering one email. And if it's not urgent one, I would sit on it for a couple of days. Basically, I was just there for the paycheck. And I know many people right now are giving that 30%, whether it's in their job, relationships, or even with the family. The thing is, we blame the boss, the partner, or the situation for our stress and lack of motivation, but the real energy drain is that half-heartedness. That 30% effort is the reason we feel depressed, sad, not inspired anymore. Because our souls aren't built for that. They are designed to give fully, to connect deeply, to find meaning in what we do, and to use every single task to honor God. That's the soul's purpose. But of course, there I was, that cursed bonus and the poor treatment of my boss got under my skin and compromised the quality of my work. And the only way to release myself from that was to step back and really own the part I was playing in this mess. Of course, it was hard to see the lesson behind, especially when I was still in the middle of it. But now, looking back, I realized the problem was a lack of trust. Not in my boss, but in something much bigger. And here is what I mean. First thing, all the years I spent in this company, I had convinced myself that my financial security and happiness were in my boss's hand. That was the foundation of my stress. Then there is a much deeper truth. In Morocco, we have this beautiful sentence. We say, if you do something, do it for the sake of God. Yeah, but looking back, I realized I wasn't doing that at all. My work was driven by a need for validation. My work was driven by that extra bonus. And when I didn't get it, my motivation was compromised, and so did the quality of my work. In other words, that really hit hard, I was essentially worshiping my boss, my paycheck, and this bonus, instead of putting my trust in God and dedicating my work to honor Him. And holding space for this truth calls for a level of self-honesty that isn't easy. It is a very humbling realization, and it changes everything for sure, but it's not easy. And we all find ourselves in these situations. Maybe right now you are in a tough relationship. You are feeling stuck in a job that leaves you drained. You are navigating a toxic environment. And the only way to free yourself from that is to shift the blame. Because in all these toxic situations, either we unconsciously give away the power that truly belongs to God and put it in the hands of someone or something, or even worse than that, we want to own this power. Yes, because let's flip this around for a moment. Picture yourself as that boss. Who doesn't want to lose a valuable employees? In trying to keep them close, you might find yourself holding on too tightly, controlling their choices, withholding support, or making promises you can't keep, only because you want them to need you. You want them to always depend on you, and at some point, you want them to worship you. And both sides of this coin come with very heavy consequences. Because the truth is, divine power isn't something we should give away or try to claim as our own. When we give it away, it signifies a lack of trust. Not trusting that there is only one God who is the only sustainer, the provider, the lover, the protector. And this lack of trust can lead us to worship something else, placing our faith in external sources. And since our souls are designed to worship only one source, turning to anything else often results in pain. And this pain would show up as feeling disrespected, mistreated, or having our boundaries crossed. And on the flip side, trying to possess this power also reveals a lack of trust. But this time, you don't trust God's plans. You want to be in charge. And when you become too attached to an outcome you desire so much, you start to manipulate situations. You become controlling. And in that process, we will drain the energy of those around us. Because simply, we crave their need for us. We want them to depend on us all the time until we claim the right to be worshipped for our importance in their lives. And the more we cling to that attachment, the more likely it is to be taken from us. And it will show up as abandonment, rejection, narcissism. So, it's worth to pause and ask ourselves, am I worshiping false God or am I trying to be one? Because worshiping false gods or pretending to be one, both roads lead to the same destination. A heart fed by bitterness, anger, resentment, jealousy, competition, and greed. Not exactly the Zen vibe we are aiming for, right? And these emotions cloud our judgment and dim our spirit. It will pull us into some dark corners of ourselves. We'd rather not be there. We'd rather avoid. Now, the real work is to learn how to be humble enough not to crave adoration and confident enough not to need constant validation. And finding that balance is not easy because we already carry the weight of past hurts and traumas. And these aren't just emotions, these are layers that have wrapped around our hearts over time, dimming our capacity to feel and be free. But the purpose in this life is to bring the heart to its purest state. And to do that, we have to peel back those layers, to let go of all the chains that keep our hearts heavy and dark. And as long as the heart is swimming in this darkness, life will be the exact reflection of it. And from my own humble experience, walking this life without the divine light to guide us, not a chance. Not a chance. It's so hard. Now, you want to align with divine timing, you will have to deal with the trust issues. And trust is a package deal. It means brace yourself, your faith is going to be tested. And by the way, faith is never steady and constant thing. It's either going up or going down. And if you feel it's not climbing, so it's definitely sliding. And we have got to bring it all back together. The faster, the better. So, full transparency here. I have been navigating my own trust issues as well. And there was this one layer of my life where my trust seemed to be sliding down a hill. And honestly, I had to pull myself out of that mess urgently. It was an emergency case. So, after some serious trials and errors, these are the steps that actually got me back on track. And I am sharing them here with you. Maybe it will help you on your own journey too. So yeah, you can take some notes if you want. The first step, acknowledging the lack of trust. Yes, I've been listening to this American pastor, Joel Austin, and he said something really wise. He said that the first step to building your trust in God is to be honest about your lack of trust in Him. And that actually is true because let's face it, when we love to blame our trust issues on everyone. You know, I don't trust because my parents, because of my friends, because of the moon, because of the universe. But let's not pretend here. It's all inside of us. We let our emotions lead the way. And when fear kicks in, we either try to control things with both hands or we throw our trust at anything that seems shiny enough, realizing that we have let our trust slip is the first step to letting go and shifting our faith where it belongs. And I'm not saying it is easy. Like owning up this mess, it's a game changer, yes, but it's very, very hard because sometimes it means saying goodbye to people or situations that keep pulling our trust in the wrong direction. And it requires so much courage to just let it all go, which I call the quantum leap of faith. You find that courage to lose the grip completely and you trust the divine timing with it. And this is a whole practice, but that's the first step I had to go through. The second step, forgiveness. Okay, I have to share with you this one. There is a story I really love about forgiveness. It is so deep, and it's the story of the prophet Yunus, peace be upon him, or Jonah. This story got everything. The redemption, the giant whale, the swim in the ocean, and of course, that humbling reminder that we all mess up. And here is the deal with this story. The prophet Yunus, peace be upon him, was sent by God to guide his people. But they rejected his message. So, feeling defeated, he decided to just run away from his people, his mission, and God as well. So he took the first boat, hoping to escape from it all, but then, surprise, a storm hits. And the crew of that boat decided that someone needed to jump so they can save the boat. And guess who is up for that job? Of course, the prophet Yunus, peace be upon him. He owns it, jumped into the water, and he was immediately swallowed by a giant whale. Now, in the belly of that whale, in the depth of the darkness, the prophet Yunus finally got real. He admits his mistake, and his heart cracks open in a way he started praying the so-called supplication of Yunus. And this supplication says, I'll say it in Arabic first, لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. There is indeed no deity except you, God. Glory to you, I have been of the wrongdoers. Now, this story isn't just about a prophet. I believe it's about all of us because the moment you worship your fear or doubt, it will trap you in your own mental well. Dark, suffocated, full of regrets. And the only way to get out of that place is being honest about where we all have messed up. And forgiveness. It's not about saying sorry or changing behavior. There is one step before that. It's bringing to the light all the guilt and the shame hidden behind the mistake itself so it can be released. Otherwise, the mistake will repeat itself. That's the way for healing. And from that space of healing, change will come naturally. That step also is a work. It's very, very hard one because it's very courageous and brave to learn to shift the blame from others to you, to point the finger on you. It's so hard because most of the time we don't want to face this part of ourselves, right? But it helped. So after acknowledging the lack of trust and doing the forgiveness, it's time to do the cleansing. Cleansing the heart from sins and drama. Because we have been swimming in drama since childhood and we are still active members. Think of all the times you have unleashed your anger at someone, criticized everything and everyone outside of yourself. Sins and drama have a great influence on the concept of time. Yes. In the quantum field, every bit of a drama actually drains time from our organs and takes space from our hearts. Can you believe that? And just to give you a clear picture, imagine you get into a fight with someone and you lose your temper. The first thing you do, well, you unleash these beautiful inner demons, right? Then the fight ends. But the bad energy doesn't just vanish like that. It stays with you for hours. Maybe days, especially if it's with someone you love. And if you keep going with this behavior, this negative energy starts to fill the space between you and this person, turning the relationship environment into a very toxic one. And over time, all that darkness will creep into your body, creating stress that can lead to illness. And about your heart, it will start losing room for compassion, making space only for resentment and anger. Next thing you know, you are in survival mode, holding grudges, dealing with anxiety and panic attack. And that's how you waste your time that you could have spent on kindness and empathy. Now let's talk about the everyday stuff that drains us, like sins, gossiping, judgment, and those little white lies. We don't realize it, but these habits shrink time from our intellect. Yes. Have you ever been to any family gatherings or hangouts where nobody is complaining, gossiping, or comparing? Never. It's practically a cultural thing. And I'm not saying you have to stop this or you need to live in total isolation to avoid these habits. Absolutely not. These are parts of this life and we will always participate in them, but at least we need to recognize their presence in our energy field and learn how to clean up the mess. Because the heart cannot witness the divine timing if there is a single drop of darkness in it. So a good cleanse is a part of the deal. The faster, the better. Now, my first practice, what helped me clean my heart from the sins and the drama is fasting. Yes, fasting because negative emotions love to be fed, especially when you are stressed, sad, or angry. The first thing you do is food, right? But here is a valuable information that made me think twice before I choose to grab that emotional snack. I mean, of course, I have my weakness. Sometimes I just go for it. But at least I don't have this compulsive behavior anymore. The first information, eating while you are angry or stressed can modify the chemistry of the food. Yes, emotional state can turn your food into poison for your body, which is why when you eat and you're angry, it ends up into fat or sugar and you gain weight easily. The second information, Eating out during a cleansing process, not a good idea because your heart needs clean and high vibrational food. And when you are eating food prepared outside, you are basically absorbing the energy of all the kitchen stuff. And your heart is already full of junk, so there is no more room for extra trash. Yeah, you are kind of sensitive at that moment. And when I was going through this process, well, my experience was a bit interesting because my body developed this weird, almost selective intelligence about food. And when I was cleansing, it would tell me what to eat and when. Like it knew exactly what I needed. Strange, but very helpful. And I believe this intelligence has been activated by the yoga practice. I'm always grateful for that. But fasting isn't just about food. There are other senses that fuel drama too. Just looking at someone in the street sometimes can trigger judgment, irritation, or anger. And that pollutes our heart as well. So there is a practice in yoga called pratyahara. And this practice is fasting from your senses. Because our senses and our limbs follow the instructions of the heart. When your heart is full of anger, it tells your body to act on it. Slamming doors, punching walls, rolling your eyes at everyone, yelling. So the goal here is to detach the heart from the senses for a bit and let them rest. And I remember my first time I saw this in India, like I saw it as a practice. It was fascinating. Like some yogis would go on a fast from using certain senses. They would literally stop listening, staring, or even smelling for a few days. Can you believe that? Like giving the nose, the eyes, and the ears a break. And the idea here is to keep the mind away from drama. And actually it works. You really feel calm and you clean inside. Then there is another powerful practice, vipassana, the noble silence, where you take a break from speaking and listening so you can focus on yourself and restore the energy field. And this is so powerful. By the way, we have the same practice in our religion. Many prophets would go into periods of silence right before something major happens in their life. The 3 days of silence, no talking, just turning inward. And let me tell you, this practice shifts the whole energy around you. It's like giving your heart and mind a total reset. And I know these practices sound intense, but it's the kind of thing you have to experience to understand. And if you have the chance to do it, I would say go for it because the insights can be pretty mind-blowing. And moving on to practice number 4. That one for me is the survival kit for the soul. Prayer and meditation. Because let's be real here, doing any inner work or diving into past traumas sometimes feels like walking through fire. You need serious tools if you want to make it out in one piece. For me, I couldn't have done it without praying 5 times a day. And let me tell you, sometimes even 5 didn't feel like enough. As Muslims, these prayers act like a shield, protecting us from things we can't see but we can definitely feel, especially in places with heavy, intense emotions. And I can tell I'm living in Bali. These prayers are like armor. And trust me, you don't want to dive into any murky water of the soul without protection. And there are plenty of ways to protect ourselves, actually. Prayer, invocation, dhikr, physical cleansing, meditation. But here is the catch. These tools don't activate if you are doing them half-heartedly. They require real mindfulness. Then there is unscripted prayers as well. You know, the kind where you just talk to God from the heart, where you unpack your deepest fears, you ask for guidance, and you say your own secrets. Funny thing is, we put so much trust in humans with flaws, risking betrayal of our secrets instead of speaking directly to God. And why? I think we assume He won't listen or that He won't answer us. Here we are, another trust issue on our hands. And another beautiful one. Once I was in Morocco last year, I met this old woman in the desert of Morocco. And no matter what she was doing, sitting, eating, walking, I always see her whispering something. Like her lips were moving in constant conversation. Then I asked her, And she said, I am just talking to God, remembering Him. The moment hit me hard, I realized I needed more of that, remembering God through my day, whether I am cooking, walking, swimming, or driving. And I don't think this is only for Muslims. You can see it in all spiritual paths, by the way, from people reciting mantras, singing kirtan, invocations, affirmations. Because prayers isn't just a ritual. Prayer can change destinies, can heal hearts, mend connection, create miracles beyond what our minds can grasp. It's transformative, pure, and simple. So the next homework was gratitude. Yeah, that's the other step. When you are in the middle of a tough time and your trust in God feels shaky, you start hearing this advice: be grateful. Make a list of the things you are grateful for, because gratitude will help you heal. But let's be real here. When your mind is all over the place and everything feels heavy and dark, it's hard to be genuinely grateful for simple things like a cup of coffee, the sun, the blue sky. It just feels all forced. And I honestly didn't even see how this advice was supposed to help. Then something clicked for me. I realized I had this whole idea of gratitude all wrong. When you are going through a tough time, gratitude isn't just something you can write down. It has to be lived. You need to live gratitude. And Gandhi said it: the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. That's what the act of gratitude is. It's like karma yoga, using whatever you are good at to serve others as an offering to God. If you have a good health, use that strength to help. Maybe go to the hospital, visit people who are in need of help. If you are great at yoga, marketing, cooking, whatever talent you have, give some of it away without ego, just pure service. And the beauty of this kind of gratitude is that it helps you clear out all the negativity, purifying your intention. It opens up space for blessing, and it helps you see life in colors again. But here is the thing: your intention has to be pure. It has to be 100% about giving, not about what you are going to get in return. And here is where things get twisted. I can give you an example of how my own intention got a little twisted. Just a few months ago, I felt called to offer some of my yoga classes for free as a karma yoga. And I found this beautiful wellness center. I proposed this idea and they accepted. But then I was speaking to a friend and she told me, hey, why don't you ask for a free room since you are already giving the class for free? And for a second, I thought, that's not a bad idea. Suddenly, my act of service was about to turn into negotiation for a free night stay. Just like that, I honestly laughed at myself, realizing that if I have done it, my so-called karma yoga, like that class that was supposed to be in the service of God, would have become a business transaction. It's really easy to fall into that trap. And it's something I see in a lot of yoga classes and community and even beyond. You get the free class, the free video, but there is always some kind of promotion waiting for you behind. When gratitude is truly an offering to God, it has to come from a place of pure intention. Only then you can experience the real power of it. And the last step, that's one of the most important one. Keep yourself around people who remind you of God. Okay, I will again take you back with me to childhood memories. I bet some of my Moroccan friends will totally get this one. I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather, who was seriously religious, used to tell me all the time, if you are around people who are talking badly about God or don't believe in Him, don't even sit with them. Just walk away. Have you heard this from your grandparents? I did, and mine practically gave me the God talk ban. I know it sounds extreme, but there is some solid truth in it. And stay with me here. Picture the moment you are hanging out around people who are constantly complaining, criticizing, comparing themselves with others, talking about how miserable they are, and playing the victim in their own stories. Isn't that like a sneaky way of disrespecting God's values? And I had a crew like this once. And trust me, I was emotionally drained after every interaction. Now, I have surrounded myself with people who remind me of God. And not the kind of let's read the Quran together every night or let's go to the mosque together. Although, if that's your thing, go for it. But the kind of friends that come from different backgrounds and religions, but they have a way to talk about God, it actually makes me fall in love with God. For instance, just examples, I have this friend when I am stressed out and feeling like my life is falling apart. This friend will actually call me and say, "Hey, Inti, God is powerful. He doesn't need time to change your situation. He can change it just like that. You need to trust him. And you know what God did for me last week? This and this and this and this." That person is not feeding my fears. Instead, she is reminding me to feel safe. She's bringing me back to the trust. And that's very powerful. I have also another friend. Even when we are, sometimes you forget. We are bitching about someone or gossiping about something, and all of a sudden that friend, she hits the brake and she's like, "Hold on a second. I can feel our hearts are getting dirty, so we need to stop this right now and do some cleansing." And that's also very powerful. And I am also blessed enough to have family members with the same thing, reminding me of God's power. How he saved them, how he protected them, instead of just feeding more fear, projecting their own fears on me. And that's very important. That's like, these are the people you need in your life. Because I'm telling you, when your mind is a mess and you're about to lose it, the last thing you need is someone judging you or making you feel worse. You need people with wisdom. You need people with knowledge to pull you out of your own darkness. Like an emergency spiritual rescue team. Honestly, I don't know how I would have made it through some of the darkest moments without these people. And I'm so grateful for it. And there you have it. Those were the steps I had to take, one shaky step at a time, to crawl my way out of that spiritual awakening chapter. Hopefully, this helps spark some mindfulness around the little tricks we often overlook, but they can help us find that grace needed to navigate our faith test. Now, don't get me wrong, I am definitely not claiming I have got it all figured out or that my heart is as pure as a snow. Far from it. That was just one chapter in the book of trust issues. Life has a funny way of serving us with new lessons, and I am sure God is preparing another round of trust testing for me in a way that can keep me humble and also let a little more light come in. Experiencing God's presence within ourselves, seeing His wisdom and the beauty of His creation, it's such a beautiful gift. But it doesn't come easily. It takes real inner work, curiosity, trials, and tests. And yet, for every tear, every doubt, every painful step, it's worth it. So that's a way to wrap up this episode of today about divine timing and the art of trusting the process. If even one word in this resonates with you, then my job is done. Until we meet again, remember, you are so much more than you think. You are a manifestation of a powerful source. Don't ever doubt that. You are provided for, protected, sustained, loved. All you have to do is to trust.